love that picture.
I was just thinking the same.
So it is 5:30 and I would like us to call to order. Do I have a mover? And a seconder? All in favor? Okay, excellent. Approval of the agenda. Thank you, Tracy. A seconder? All in favor? Declarations of interest? We're good. Delegations or presentations? I don't believe we have anything this evening, so let's move on. Minutes of the previous meeting. Everyone have a chance to take a look at them? No issues or concerns? May I have a mover to accept the minutes dated May 9th, 2023 to be accepted as presented? And a seconder? Thank you. Financial report.
So my test is unfortunately away this evening, so I will just run through quickly the financial report. The only real updates would be the update to the coordinator expense, so that's a monthly addition. Meeting expense, that's been on there, that's from the AGM. And the only real addition change here is that we've now accounted for the 2022 commitments to the patio, the lighting, and the pop-ups. So they've been accounted into the reserves. You'll see that the pop-ups $5,000 is in this year's line item. That's functionally the same as it being in the reserves. That was because that was when the actual pop-ups were accounted for. So the remaining balance on the reserve fund is $31,000, but that would be less the $5,000 that's being accounted into this year. So $26,000, which leaves the board with about $22,000 less $7,000 for the remaining coordinator's expense, so around $15,000 to allocate.
Any questions? Do I have a mover to accept the financial report be accepted as presented? Do you have a seconder? Thank you. Committee reports, Marketing and Promotions Committee.
I'm going to do these together here tonight because the discussions really, I would say, complemented each other over the course of the meetings. Essentially, the discussions this month centered around both the Riverwalk Thursdays, how those would be promoted and marketed, how we would bring those together, as well as other ways for activations throughout the downtown. I'll be discussing in the next slide one of the outcomes of that to do with the Riverwalk Thursdays, but one of the real something that people were gravitating towards was the opportunity for participatory public art throughout the downtown. So I know, Charity, you talked about that.
That makes me excited.
So these would be opportunities where it could go anywhere from they could be pop-in, drop-in art classes that the BIA could support and promote in the downtown, to like larger participatory installations or artist gatherings downtown. Forgetting the name of the event where you art off, but the kind of things where people will sort of have a little arty competition running through there as well. So we talked about some of those ideas, and in the next slide about the Riverwalk Thursdays, I'll sort of go a little deeper into some of the ideas going there. And we also sort of had the, let's say, seeds of an idea to do more of a public art, participatory public art event that might center around the promenade or the pop-up area in August. That would be where could possibly have some sort of art instructor come in working on maybe a larger medium. It could be chalk, it could be mural art, where you're inviting people in to learn how and participate while this piece of art was being made. Hopefully, if we're successful with the iHeart Main Street funding, it would sort of be part of that as well. But if that was a direction you'd like to go in, we could start looking at possible planning for sort of a larger participatory undertaking with that as well.
That excites
Art
me.
battle
Thoughts?
Art battle.
was the name.
It's not an art off, it's an art battle.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's exciting. I love the ideas of having it like community's involvement too. I think that's a great way to stem an event that will create interest and then get lots of beautiful color throughout the town. Yeah, yeah, I for sure am behind those ideas.
We're also thinking sidewalks too, in the area of the street patios that we put in to add like a bit of colorful art, right? A bit of an installation for people to enjoy while they're sitting on the patio.
Sidewalks I never thought to look down sidewalks, because then you could really get creative with like mapping to tell people literally to go to the businesses, like
So
follow the
that's what
arrows,
thanks.
like that's cool.
So that's a whole other project actually that we're doing as part of the directional street signage. Doing these decals, the sidewalk decals, that would be more directional in nature, like, you know, Explore Prescott would kind of be that theme, and then one could be explore Kelly's Beach, explore more shops this way, explore the fort, explore the lighthouses, or, you know what I mean? Something along those lines, and just have that carrying through the downtown. And I'd really like to cover, like, it'd be really cool if we could do the entire community at some point, like look at doing uptown, downtown, to kind of try and create these connections as well between the two business districts. Yeah, and the new arena going in, you know, connections from there, so we can try and drive traffic that is landing at the arena that may not discover the downtown, or vice versa, people coming into the downtown that may not venture uptown.
Yeah, yeah.
So 2 projects, really.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. It's funny, sometimes things you don't think of, but yeah, look down sidewalk. It's kind of an obvious marketing thing now that you've said it. Not so much before, but yeah.
And they have come a long way with signs and decals, so we have looked into it enough that we've confirmed you can do it. Like they're weatherproof, they don't interfere with plowing, snow removal, things of that nature, and they do have a pretty long life cycle. And they're non-slip. That was another big one that we thought about too. Are we creating these? Yeah, so you have to confirm that too.
Well, if you think about it, like in larger communities or larger cities, they have all of that in subways. Right?
Yes.
So it's gotta be,
Yeah.
okay, it can't be slip, it can't be unsafe.
Yeah. I think it would be almost a similar material to the pole wraps. Not quite as, you know, thick and substantial, but have that similar kind of anti-slip technology to them. But yeah, we thought, you know, incorporating art installations, whether it be semi-permanent sidewalk murals. I would really like to find out how we make these permanent. I'm sure there's some sort of a material that can be used to cover and protect them and make them more permanent, because there was nothing worse than, and I guess that is the point with the sidewalk chalk art and how it was literally finished, I think 8:00 that night and washed away by 2:00 that morning when the rain showed up. You know, so are there ways to preserve those things? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. More to come on that.
Yes, that is the totality.
Okay, placemaking committee,
I really did both of them together, I think, sort of.
here we go. So chair updates, just wanted to mention that we have been successful in terms of setting up appointments or breakfasts with MPP Steve Clark and MP Mike Barrett, and those are coming out. One's in July, one's in August. Again, that was a joint venture between the South Grenville Chamber of Commerce, the North Grenville Chamber of Commerce, and GCFDC. So the first one with Steve Clark will be here in Prescott. The second one will be up in South Grenville. And the advertising will start coming out pretty quickly.
What's the date, venue?
The one in Prescott, I think is July 11th off the top of my head, and August 10th or 15th, but I'll send that out. We're finalizing tomorrow, so I'll send that out tomorrow to everyone. And it's going to be, we're doing breakfasts. So it's sort of going to be like from between like 7:30 to 9 or 10 o'clock. And, you know, just again, giving an opportunity for small businesses and larger businesses to get in front of their political proponents. And we're really excited because neither one of them have actually done this in South Grenville or North Grenville previously. So that's pretty much my update. So staff updates.
So the first item on there does not have a slide, is the BIA strategic planning. I'm left that on the agenda, but the update is the same as the last time. We're sort of collating information now and going towards that timeline of doing the actual sit-down strategic planning in the fall, leading towards a plan in to be presented at the AGM in January. So I'll move on to the next update there, the Riverwalk Thursdays. So this is the event we've been planning for the Thursdays during the summer months, where we will have some activities or activations around the clock tower area and perhaps the other patios, as well as encouraging businesses where possible to stay open in those evenings and offer some sort of promotion or event in their spaces as well. We've had a number of businesses that have committed. You might have actually seen Old Magic Shop has posted her first few Thursday nights events, jumped the gun there and posted them there this week on social media. So she'll be having a weekly promotion or event drop-in class, something like that in her space. And we hope to really get a large participation in that where people are able to. So we'll start June 29th with some live music at the clock tower, but we are planning multiple different sorts of entertainment. So when I mentioned previously working in the art classes and the art groups, we're talking to 3 different artists right now that work in different mediums and do different sorts of art to come and do sort of either drop-in classes or host their classes on that patio space on a Thursday night. So we're just sort of confirming what Thursday nights they'll be available for. We will also be looking at still having perhaps 1 or 2 nights of the sort of public open mic battle of the bands type activity, perhaps towards the end of July and early August there. So they will be happening. I'll be out talking to people about those this week just to get a little bit more participation there. But I think they should be good nights that'll draw some people downtown and get some activity going on those Thursday nights leading into the weekend, especially July 29th. As we start to look at, or June 29th, where we start to look at what's coming up on Canada.
What hours are we looking at?
So we'll do 5 to 8, so hours that you're already open. So, and we'll drop by with one of these, or I'll give you one of these flyers before you head out there tonight.
Really kind of a broader effort that we're spearheading and just trying to encourage merchants to stay open late, offer evening hours for those that just can't get to the downtown and support them, because I think there's no lack of consumers out there that want to shop downtown. They just can't because the hours are so restricted and not everyone can get out on weekends when some of these businesses are open. So it's really an initiative that we've seen done successfully before. And, you know, we've been trying to get it more and more creative all the time to find enough, you know, that incentive, right, for businesses to stay open. So hopefully, you know, bringing down some downtown activations to complement that will really help support that.
Any thoughts?
Can I make a comment? Very positive comment. Just some of you may not know this, but I sent an email off to the mayor, and I think it was Matt, and I think it was Justin and Dana, and I probably should have CC'd you all. A few weeks back on downtown, and this woman who's from Prescott says, wow, she says, I just love how the downtown is coming alive. And I was just so proud of that comment. And obviously over the years, the previous BIA, us here in the new BIA, Dana and Justin and everybody who's worked so hard to make this happen. Things are happening and people are noticing, and it's a huge impact. And I felt that it needed to be said to the mayor and to Matt, but work does pay off, and people really feel like that woman just looked.
I've had numerous comments.
Yeah, it's beautiful to share that because, as I have told Matt before, and I'm gonna embarrass Justin and Dana, it's, to me, in my eyes, this is not a job to them. This is a passion. They believe in Prescott. They believe and wanting to make our businesses better. And they certainly make us look good, I can tell you that much. But, you know, they give up weekends, they give up time with their own families for the better of Prescott. And I just wanted to comment that, you know, I really see wonderful things happening. And when people are noticing and saying things like, wow, the downtown has finally come alive. It hasn't been that way for years. I really think it's important that we remember those nice comments, because certainly we'll get a half a dozen, hey, why didn't you do this? But sometimes it's nice to know we're doing good things. So Dana and Justin, thank you so much, because I know you spearhead our leadership, and of course the council and the BIA people as well. So I just want to comment.
I couldn't agree more. I get that often a lot the last few weeks. Exactly. Coming alive. That's the word. It's coming alive. It feels like it's coming to life. Yeah. Yeah. And it is.
And stuff like that snowballs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yeah. The
people- when
energy.
you get that attitude out there, it's,
Yeah.
had nowhere to go but up for sure.
I had a client come in just to kind of reiterate, while we're patting on the back, as much deserved a little bit. I had a client come in from Brockville, and it was the first time, and they came in the weekend of Poutine Fest, and they said, wow, is Prescott always like this? And I swear she said it just like that. And I said, oh, I'm going to tell Dana you said that. Because she was so, and I said, well, actually, I don't know that it has always been, but it is now. And she was so excited. She came back 2 weeks later with last week with another client.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, it's definitely, people are seeing it. The work's paying off. I don't deserve credit because I'm new to this, but
Well, I think-
it's due, and it's showing, and people feel it, like you said.
Exactly. And we have to recognize that these things don't happen overnight. And, you know, Dana and Justin, you guys have been working on this and working on this and working on this. And we appreciate you so much.
And I'm excited for the stuff coming up too, like the new ideas too,
Things
to add on
take
to
a
it.
long time to come to fruition.
You plant those seeds.
Yep.
It's a team effort, you know, but you plant the seeds. But like I said earlier, and I've said this, you know that, Justin and Dana, they're not employees in my eyes. They take it so much more. They are embedded in the success of our community. And I just think that a lot of good praise should be said, because you can hire someone, but you don't always get to hire someone with that kind of passion. So there, we said it on TV, so it has to be true.
Must be true. It's on TV.
Well, I don't even begin to know how to respond other than, you know, great appreciation for, and I think you are absolutely right. You know, we are very committed to the job, and the love that we have for Prescott, I think certainly comes out in what we do. But, you know, it's not me and Justin that deserve the credit. There's so many other moving parts that all contribute to this. It's board members, it's people like you, it's a supportive council, it's all the other departments and staff that are constantly, you know, having to support in the background these ideas and make these ideas a possibility. And, you know, without the support of operations, especially with the pop-ups.
And council?
These things just wouldn't happen.
Absolutely.
And council, like I've worked for municipalities where you have a council with a very narrow vision, and that, you know, don't tend to support these ideas that are outside of the box, and this council does, and that makes all the difference. So it's certainly a team effort, and you know, and this department would be nothing without people like Justin coming on the scene. I'll be honest with you. I was just spinning my wheels up until the point where we were starting to bring on individuals like Justin and to the point that we actually now have a team of dedicated staff. And it feels like for the first time, we can act on ideas that we've had forever. And yeah, it's exciting. And it's just so exciting to hear that positive feedback because Bonnie, you're not wrong. We get a lot of negative feedback and, people in life just tend to take the time to say the negative things versus the positive things. So it's so nice to hear that. And it really does feel like there's some momentum. Things are happening. This town is experiencing a real transition. And I think it's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of it. So thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So for the activations, do we need to look at the budget at all? Or is the 2,000, I think it's 2,000 we committed?
Allocated 2,000 plus what ECDA, the town of Prescott, was going to contribute. It should be sufficient. It should be sufficient.
Okay.
For those.
And maybe if there's an opportunity, with ongoing discussions, an idea could come about that we may need to come back for additional support as we flesh these ideas out. But I think what's been discussed so far.
Yeah, and it should be sufficient for that. And if something larger comes up for one of those nights, or if one of the art class ideas, more than that's something we'll have to look at that.
When will you hear back about the grant that you applied for?
So I was really hoping we would hear by now. So hopefully in the next little bit, I'll follow up with them there and see.
They like to take their time, unfortunately, with grant applications.
Okay, on to staff updates.
On to those, I'm just going to give you a couple brief updates on some things that have started up since last we met. So the farmers market is back for the summer period. It is down at the Riverwalk Promenade. So the area beside O'Heathy's every Saturday morning, 9 to 2. On one side of the screen there, you can see our summer market clerk, Gabby, with the Explore Prescott booth. So it's been really great so far this summer. We have more rotating vendors than we've had in any one of the last 3 years since we restarted the market. It's been kind of remarkable because I believe in the 4 that we've had so far, there was perhaps 1 day of actual nice weather going through there. But the opening weekend on Victoria Day weekend, it was raining on and off, and yet there were still a large number of people walking through there in that space. We had some tents that wanted to blow away the second weekend, yet there were still people coming through. It's been great that the number of people that have been coming through, the traffic, and the fact that you can tell like the traffic is a little bit not just larger than we had in the Clock Tower parking lot area. It's a different traffic. We're seeing more of the boaters coming up through. We're seeing more people seeing it. It's the oddest thing. You think that the Clock Tower area would be really visible. A lot of people drive by there, probably the same people that are driving by this space, but you didn't see a lot of people pulling off up at that space where you'll see people see everything, pull off and come in and then stay and walk around. So we should actually be introducing a few more new rotating vendors over the course of the next few weeks. And likely Canada Day will be our largest market of the year. We're going to be welcoming a few new vendors in there that weekend and a new performer. So that should be a fun day there. I'll just, unless anyone has any questions about the market been going on. The pop-ups, Dana, I don't know if you want to talk about them or.
So I'm assuming everyone has been down to visit our newest activation, our Prescott pop-ups. We celebrated the grand opening on Victoria Day weekend, and it was really well attended. First weekend, of course, was a long weekend, and then our second weekend coincided with our Poutine Feast event. And then we've also had 2 subsequent, just what we would call normal weekends since that time. And it's really been fantastic throughout. We've had a really nice mix of traffic. It's amazing the number of people that we're getting just coming off of Highway 2 as they're seeing them. They're colorful, they're attracting interest. And just the wide range of visitors that we've had. We've had people from, a lot of international travelers and a lot of locals too. It's been really pleasant to see the number of people coming from Brockville. And that migration has never really, I think a lot of people go from
Oh, but the other way, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it doesn't necessarily, happen in the opposite. So that has really been amazing to see that. And I think that is just as important as bringing visitors in from hundreds of miles away. It's having locals take another look at Prescott and realize that this is a community worthy of your time, attention, money, and more. And, when I earlier mentioned momentum, it's really things like this that you're starting to feel there's a whole new emergence and excited attitude, whether it be people potentially looking to move here because there's fun, exciting things to do in this town, or maybe someone considering a business or a new investment. And I really think that the impacts of this will fully be, full, and that the fact that they're going to touch on every aspect of what we're trying to do in economic development, it really is. And it's just amazing to see the response and the vendors. We are speaking to them on a regular basis, trying to get a sense of what their experience is like, and it's been very positive. They're all making sales. There's the Forwarders Antiques, for example. Kevin has said that the amount of people that they've been able to attract to this location has far exceeded the amount of customers they saw through their doors over the past 6 years. It's been amazing, the response. So it's pretty exciting. And honestly, the biggest feedback that we're getting at this point is, when are you getting more? And the amount of interest we have from vendors, we can't begin to accommodate with what we have. So it's a good place to be. And I think it can only grow from here if we continue to get support of administration, like Matthews, our CAO, has also been a big part of that support too, and his willingness to bring these ideas before council. So hopefully we can convince senior administration and then council that this is an idea worthy of ongoing investment. And we'll of course be surveying vendors and customers, trying to get a really good sense of the feedback for this and support moving forward, so that we can provide council with some accurate information to base these decisions on, and hopefully demonstrate success. Mm-hmm.
Dana, have you had, in the rotating one, have you had a lot of interest in that, or?
Yeah, so for June, we've kept our pop-up shop before the visitor center there because there really wasn't a whole lot of interest for June. But based on what we've got for July, August, September, there's very few weekends, I think, that we would actually have to look at operating our pop-up shop. We've got 4 vendors that we're communicating with right now, looking at multi-weekends, and then a couple that are looking for full weeks. So it should be a nice mix. And it's jewelry, crochet, artisan, antiques. There's another antiques vendor looking at potentially a pop-up shop. So yeah, it's really exciting to see and I'm really looking forward to getting to that point where we have the rotating one. Mm-hmm. And what we're planning on doing is still having a presence down there. We would set up one of our visitor center tents and still have some sort of a tourism presence down there, as well as a pop-up ambassador that we've got working on a part-time basis, just to be there dealing with on-site issues, manage any vendor concerns. Also cultivating, the marketing. So we want someone on there, creating content, taking pictures, and developing social media advertising and things that we can use to keep promoting them.
Do you think this is an opportunity also for the connections with the whole town, like with your businesses in the north?
In the downtown and in the entire town.
Yeah, like using that as
Like an incubator almost is kind of what we're really trying to do with it. It's not just meant to be, you know, another place to draw visitors in. It's really meant to provide potential businesses with a space that they can explore that idea without having to commit to, say, a permanent brick and mortar location. And then if successful, hopefully we could get them to a point where they could move into a permanent brick and mortar site. And then it's also, it's really interesting mix because we're also getting interest from farmers market vendors that want to transition to that next phase of something a little bit more full-time and in one location too. Because a lot of the vendors will, like they're traveling from market to market to market and just, you know, constantly packing their vehicles and unloading and, you know, a lot of them are looking for something more permanent. And the market's been a really good opportunity for some of those vendors to establish a bit more of a permanent customer base. So then there's more of a reason for them to consider being in Prescott. So yeah, I think it'll go both ways. But ultimately, it's really meant to be that business incubator. So hopefully we can start filling some of those vacancies and yeah.
Is there a long-term strategy, Dana, to maybe consider possibilities of it being year-round? I mean, I went to Quebec City and they have the beautiful German market, and it's, you know, I think actually they're a little nicer than what they have there, and they're able to do it all year. Like, just maybe some consideration if it's possible that might happen in 3 years or something.
So we actually had a really good discussion, Councillor Young and myself at a recent committee meeting. And we were thinking like a Christmas village.
Perfect.
Now that they're there, you've got this perfect opportunity to have like a bit of a winter village, maybe in conjunction with indoor skating. I know there's a few guys in operations department that would love to create an outdoor skating trail. And the vision for that was potentially it could connect into these pop-ups. You could have, you know, roasted marshmallows. You could have someone doing cider. We could bring in other outside like food vendors. It would be a great opportunity for some of our local restaurants to come in and capitalize on that space, right? And rent the shed for, you know, maybe a 2-week period or something. So yeah, and we were thinking you could have Santa visits there. Ideally, I would love to see the town Christmas tree go there at some point. Get a big, you know, like artificial possibly, and do something there, or just have, you know, basically an outdoor winter market like you see in some of the other communities.
Yeah.
Like they've been done really successfully in other communities. So there's no lack of, you know, best practices that we could draw from. But I think maybe, you know, exploring those type of things, seasonal activations. Because getting them winterized would be a totally different.
Do you sleep, Dana, at all? Or do you just all night right down there?
I don't think she does.
No, I love that whole Christmas market idea.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I could just, I can envision it now and it's.
And we can go to the bus tour companies and say, hey, do you want to come to Prescott for the
Yeah, that
for a
could-
bus trip to Prescott?
Could be something.
Every time I'm on a bus, I'm promoting Prescott, so, you know. Love it.
Idea. But I think now that they're here, right, there's so many opportunities for other ways to activate them. They don't necessarily have to sit empty for 7 months of the year, right, during that winter period.
Love it.
And we're trying to attract new vendors too, something that we're really trying to focus on. So in your travels, you know, if there's any opportunity to refer this great opportunity that we have, we'd love to get more operators renting like recreation equipment, whether it be bicycles, boats, paddle boats, kayaks, stand-up paddleboard, you know, those type of things. That I think would really kind of anchor it, right? And some of the other things that we've got going on there. So
Wow.
yeah, we're trying to attract. So if you're, you know, speaking to potential operators in your travels.
What about that non-for-profit that does game and fishing or fishing and gaming club or something.
Okay, it's funny you mentioned that because we were just talking about that the other day. Apparently they have like canoe classes where they go out. So we were gonna reach out to them and see if maybe they would come do some sort of a class here in Prescott. Like we've got great space for it.
About
right?
10 years ago, and I think his last name was Holmes, but about 10 years ago, they used to have a kids' fun day down there. And we always did the barbecue, and they always had displays there, and they had their stuff.
And it's Dr. Holmes. So it's
No, it's Dr. Holmes' brother.
it's his brother.
It's not Dr. Holmes, it's Dr. Holmes' brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't think of
Well,
his
that's right, you did
name. It's
mention that,
Lance.
yes.
I think it's Lynn.
Lynn, it is Lynn.
Yes, yeah,
Lynn Holmes.
Fishing Game Club?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so.
because I mean, they were already, I'm not saying we can't find a vendor either, but I mean,
No.
they're already embedded in our community, right?
Yeah, yeah, so they were on one of the potential ones on the list to reach out and see if we could even get some sort of a recreation-based thing, and, you know, maybe, and even having these things going, again, creates possibilities for a business, right?
Oh, of
If they
course.
see these things going on, then an operator sees that and thinks, hey, there's something viable happening here that might be worth my while. But yeah, I think, you know, from a BIA perspective, the support would look like recommendations, referrals, anything you see in your travels, potential vendors for those spaces, and, you know, just being as supportive as possible when it comes to, you know, the public. Always appreciated.
An ambassador.
Yeah, be an ambassador,
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically the best role of it.
I don't know, next year maybe we should have a promenade ambassador, do a little queen pageant, queen and king, or whatever you can gender call it properly. I don't want to make anybody feel aged or.
We'll do a promenade mayor, just like they're doing nightmares.
Is there gonna be a Christmas in July thing this year? Or? Like, remember they used to have that at the market, they used to have Santa over there and.
We've never done that at ours, no.
Yeah, something.
Jeannie mentioned that, I think, once, yes.
It
yes.
was there once, I'm sure it was.
I think we talked about trying to do it there, the one year, yeah. But I know in previous years, yes, because we've.
Yeah, but that's always a bit of fun.
Yeah.
You've got
So
so
when it
much
was
damn
tender
back
run.
already, that's so awesome. I agree, Santa's always nice to have around.
Yeah, we could certainly look at a Christmas in July event, that could be fun.
Get the pop-ups to decorate outside with lights.
Yeah, I really envision, I think it could be great, Christmas Village.
Oh, I'm so excited. Might not have to go to Quebec City.
Okay, item 3, Riverwalk Promenade.
Well, I don't have a slide for this one, but I have already mentioned there that the farmer's market is located at the promenade, which will be closed down every weekend this summer and extended on the long weekends, so through the holiday on the long weekends. As we get into those long weekends in the summer, you'll find more events happening there, more activations. I'll be talking about one of the ones coming up for Canada Day in my next slide. I seem to keep doing that, building suspense for the next slide. But so there will be activations there throughout the summer, but right now it's a place where the market is on Saturdays and it's a public space. I know I've gone through there multiple times when the market's not going on. There were people sitting using the chairs. They've been out, they brought food down and been using them sort of like the other patios. But as we move into the summer, it'll be the market space, it'll be a space like that, and there will be other events, activations. Hopefully it's a space where there can be some public art installations, as I mentioned, perhaps a kind of gallery show, as well as buskers, music, other options.
Sorry, quick question. Is it marked public space? Because I've had people that I know, my stepdaughter said to me, I thought it was O'Heafy's patio, and I'd love to bring the kids for a lunch. And I said, no, it's public space. But do we have that marked anywhere? Because some people do think, I've had 2 other people say, is that not O'Heafy's patio? And I said, no, it's
Well,
not.
we have the signage up with the downtown Prescott and
Okay, perfect.
that stuff, but we could add something.
Even just at the entrance points, yeah,
Yeah.
just to kind of stress that, yeah, that it is open to the public.
That's excellent.
Yeah, public versus private, for sure.
And people love it. Like just the feedback that I've been getting is people just love the fact that like you can see the river, the fountain is right there. It just looks so beautiful looking down, and like to the points that Dana and Justin were making earlier, I've had people come up and say, you know, like literally I have pulled in because I saw what was going on, and they're coming to the market. And just talking to other vendors as well, a lot of when it was at Shoppers, there wasn't a lot of the motorcycle people who were coming in, but they're pulling in constantly to come check it out. Like, cause it's easy, right? There's parking right there. They can see it, like it's very visible. The signage, like the new signage is incredible.
Yeah.
And people are just loving it. Like it's like the vibe is just like so positive and amazing. Yeah.
It really is, yeah, where it is there and just the traffic that it's pulling off of Highway 2,
Yeah.
because that's a major travel route for bikers traveling through it.
Yeah.
And cyclists, just regular vehicular traffic. And then the locals. Like it's just such a nice blended mix, right? Of seeing people come down on foot and other people parking on Water Street and
I looked
meandering
up
over. And
the other
yeah.
weekend, and there was some from the community. I recognized her, and I look up, and she's like on her little bike with her basket.
Oh yeah, on her big little bars. And every weekend, she's
It's just like the picture of the epitome of
It's perfect.
It's all loaded up.
Like when she goes skiing, we could all be extras and move and see if we do some filming in Prescott.
Oh, yeah. Hallmark Movies is gonna be.
Let's do it.
Prescott's gonna be the new destination for Hallmark movies.
Okay, item 4, Canada Day in Prescott.
All right, so Canada Day is coming up, as I'm sure everyone is aware, and there will be a lot of things going on for Canada Day around town. So downtown, we'll be starting things with the Canada Day Farmers Market at the Promenade. We have a new band coming, Cajun and the Hollow Bodies, which seems like they're going to be quite fun. That'll go from 9 till 2. And at the pop-ups during the day during Canada Day, there will be a Canine Water Sports Canada event there, which is where dogs will compete to jump the furthest into a large pool. That'll be very good.
Dog diving.
That's adorable.
And the vendors at the pop-ups will be open until the fireworks, the majority of the vendors, along with the food trucks. So there will be a lot of activity around there during the day. In the Riverwalk districts, we are going to be encouraging the businesses to make use of the sidewalk in front of their locations that are staying open that day. So we have a couple that have agreed to sort of set up a small sidewalk sale out front. We will be from the visitor center as well, and we'll get as many as possible involved in that, just to sort of create some more of the life along the street there as people are going through. I know last Canada Day was incredibly busy all throughout the sort of L where the activities were going on, and I would imagine it will be again this year. At the Leo, there'll be the Family Fun Day programming again that will include a community barbecue lunch as well as other activities. There is a reptile show, a fairy tale, I believe the correct term, fairy tale show there, as well as live entertainment and music there during the day. Fort Wellington will be having a Canada Day flag raising. Hopefully there'll be reenactors there along with other events and activities. And at the promenade, so starting at 9 a.m. with the farmers market music, there'll be live music there throughout the day, sort of co-located between the farmers market, the Riverwalk promenade, and with O'Keefe's. And then of course, there'll be fireworks at dark that day. So with all activity going on, we are going to put together a little Canada Day Explore Prescott passport for people going around throughout all the activities during the day. So we'll distribute these from various sites as well as the participating sites to encourage businesses or encourage individuals to go to as many of these spots as they can during the day. So have them, if you stop in to one of the stores or restaurants uptown, you can get a stamp. If you do so downtown, you can get a stamp. You go to the Leo, take part in those activities, you get your stamp. Hit the farmer's market, go to the pop-ups, and visit Fort Wellington, get your stamps as you're going through there, and then they can be submitted to the visitor center before the following Friday to be entered into the grand prize draw. I know last summer we did the summer long passport, and it really did do a lot to get both visitors circulating, plus we had a lot of feedback from businesses, including some that don't necessarily normally participate in some of the promotions that were just the idea of the passport and the idea of people sort of circulating. We did the dine, shop, and explore one last summer. It does get people moving around and gets them into different businesses. And we saw a lot of people would get handed those when they were visiting and then specifically go out of their way to complete them and submit them before they left. So that will be something that will be going along with those Canada Day activities. The passports are on their way, and we'll be working to get as many businesses and on board there for that activity.
Sounds good. Any questions?
That's so great.
Sounds amazing. Okay, item 5, downtown lighting updates.
That's essentially your update. We just wanted to bring
Like, so freakishly pretty, I swear.
They look great.
Oh my God.
So these are actually some professional pictures that were done, so they're much better than the ones that we had sent out earlier. But
show off.
yeah, we've got a lot of positive feedback about them. There are 2 out right now that are being dealt with. There was a photo sensor timing issue. So they're being dealt with this week. So they will be out. They were down by, and thanks to Ruth for letting me know the locations, by King Edward and the Prescott Auto place. So yeah, they should be on, I would think, by even tonight possibly. But yeah, we've had really good feedback on them. People really like that light combination. I know that we lamented quite a bit over, and I think it really, it's been, positive. It hit home. So I think if we hadn't have gone with that contrast, it wouldn't have had the same feedback. So yeah, that was it for that update.
Okay, item 6, visitor tracking. Oh, this is so cool.
Oh, yes. So this is something that I've been really wanting to pursue since starting here, is getting a better handle on visitation, but also movement of people within our community. What are people doing? Where are they shopping? Where do they spend their time in town? And where do visitors spend their time when they're coming? Where do visitors come from? What are their shopping habits, demographics? And, initially we were looking at some pretty basic tools to just simply measure pedestrian counts, right? Trying to get a better sense of how many people are coming through events, spaces. And doing quite a bit of research, and things have come a long way in the way of pedestrian consumer movement tracking. And there are some new tools out there based on analytics that will help, basically can identify using cell phones and cell phone tower data to be able to identify where visitors are coming from, like I said, where they're spending their time. There's a variety of variables that can be measured, demographics, hometown, where they're going when they're in your community, what they're spending their money on, education, and will give us an ability to actually drill down and identify to essentially a 1 square meter area up to 5 million square feet, what the visitation has been for that
geofence, they call it a geofence area. So when I met with the environics representative, he ran a module on the downtown, just the Riverwalk district, specific to the BIA, and the visitation that occurred from basically a full 12-month period from 2022 to now. And there were over 2 million visits to the downtown. And it can also break it down into unique visitors as well. So you can actually get a sense and eliminate, those repeat visitors, right? Because there's many of us. You could be, I'll be in the downtown 6 times a day, right? Sometimes just moving back and forth. So this can actually identify unique visitors and give us the ability to track visitors to events, to locations. We can also use it to track visitor data for our attractions like the Fort, Shakespeare Festival, different events and attractions, the pop-ups, the lighthouse, the farmers market, and the new arena. We could start looking at data for that. We could also be used by a multitude of other departments. For example, when we're dealing with planning applications, then we could be looking at, or they're considering road improvement projects. They could use this data to actually track the movement and get traffic data counts for this without having to hire that out to a separate firm to the tune of probably $10,000 just to do one traffic count study. So not only can it be used by economic development and tourism, it could be used by operations, building department. It could also be used by recreation and community services to track users at their different programs, the pool, Centennial Park, Splash Pad, all of these different things, and get a better sense of, for us, we can then take this data and use it in everything, whether it be identifying potential new events that people might be interested in, potential new businesses that we want to attract based on the shopping and consumer habits of people, community improvements, projects, like I said, road improvements, changes to community layouts and parks. It's really endless, the data uses that you can get out of this. And then for us, we can use that to better inform our marketing and get a much better sense of where we should be targeting, because we have limited advertising dollars and we've got to be very strategic with those funds. So that would give us the ability to target, identify what mediums people are getting their information from. Is it television? Is it social media? Is it YouTube? Is it radio? Right? All of these different forms, and where the majority of our consumers are coming from, so that we can start targeting our advertising to those areas versus just throwing ads out everywhere and hoping they're going to stick and hoping it aligns with our demographics and target market. So we can be much more effective in our budget allocations and not reduce the waste of dollars that happens when you're trying to get better informed about marketing and things of that nature. So it really is limitless. We're really just kind of delving into, what the possibilities are of this program. With all that being said, though, it is an expensive service. For this year, we've received a quote for $15,000. It covers all the main modules that we would want to include in this, and it would allow us to also engage third parties with this. So there's also a potential revenue generating side of this, if that should be the way that, and we will be, presenting this to others, but we wanted to get a sense, if there was any interest, at least from the BIA, because I think, there's a lot of data that could be inferred for the BIA area and used to, again, effectively market and attract new businesses and residents to the community and this area. So just really wanted to kind of introduce it, see if there was any interest on the part of the BIA. I believe for this year, in conversation with our CAO, that we could look at moving forward with it on, a 1-year basis and then explore potential additional, options, more of a long-term service moving forward. But we really it would be more of a pilot program that we're recommending at this point. We're not prepared to make any commitments beyond that. But I think what we really need to truly get a handle on what can, we can get out of this program is to have that hands-on access and really get a better sense of if it's something we want to invest in long-term, or if it's just a one-off and we feel that we've been able to infer all the data we could possibly get out of it in this term. So at this point, we would be putting it out to the BIA. We were thinking if there was any interest in possibly making a financial allocation to that initial pilot year cost. It would be completely up to the BIA what you would, choose to allocate. I think we were thinking, an amount of about $2,000 would probably be a reasonable request. But again, that's just a number that we came up with. Fully no obligation whatsoever to the BIA. I really just wanted to bring this forward tonight. I think it's a very exciting service that really has limitless possibilities.
And from our perspective, and again, we are going through that strategic plan process right now. It really gives us the ability to kind of validate what's working and what's not. We know we're going to be able to determine where people are going, where they're not going, where we need to be able to direct people. And again, there is the potential for a revenue stream there as well. And again, it gives us validation in terms of where we're potentially looking at allocating dollars. If this event is not working, what actually is? Again, I'm a numbers person, so being able to validate where we're allocating those dollars, I find very appealing. What do you guys think?
I just have some questions about, so Dana, it's $15,000 1 year, one pilot project?
Yeah.
Assuming that you went to another year, what happens in the second year? So you've said, okay, we like this, we want to commit to it. Dollar-wise, what are we looking at to continue?
It does increase in the second year from 2,000 for us.
Well, and that would be
Potentially.
Yeah, that could potentially be, yes, if you chose to increase, it will increase. So we have options. I'm just in conversation with them right now. I've asked to do the full module for a full year, it would be 28,000. I've asked if we could opt into a 50% service where you would get half the amount of queries. So you essentially what that gives you is 100 queries. So we could run 100 queries through that system. It could be everything from, your annual 12-month BIA area visitation to what type of visitation did we get at Poutine Feast on this day during these times. So you can be very specific or very broad ranging. So you would certainly have to be strategic. And at the beginning of the year, we would sit down and go through every department and get a good handle on, okay, so what exactly do we want to do? How many queries are we estimating that we're going to want to make? And then what I would propose is the expense actually gets allocated out over those 3 or 4 departments that plan to use the service. I believe they're going to come back with, I just haven't received a response yet. In our initial conversation, he gave me the impression that they are willing to look at a reduced option. So maybe a 50 query commitment, which would be closer to an area of $15,000 annually. So my hope is that we could keep it at the $15,000 annually, and that would give us enough queries to still cover all departmental needs and all BIA needs. And we're also looking at, there's another red fund intake that's coming out this fall. So what we're proposing to do is to submit an application to the red fund to cover this service for the next 2 years, which would cover 2024 and 2025. And that would provide us with 50% of the funding. So then the town would only have to come up with a balance of 50%.
which would either put us at the 15,000 if we had to go for the full 28,000, or potentially 7,500 if they'll give us the service at 15. And then we would approach the BIA to see if there was interest to provide any sort of financial support to that.
Have we looked at, I can't think of the word, have we looked at other people that have used this particular system to see what feedback they have given it, to see, you know, because that's a lot of money. I'd like to know that other people or other municipalities that have used it actually benefited from it.
So on a more cursory level, yes, haven't done that deep dive with a municipality of comparable size, which is something that, yeah, I would agree. I think we need to do, get a good sense of, you know, is a comparable client finding this to be of value? Is it way beyond what they would ever utilize and they're just wasting their dollars, right? Because you want to maximize, capitalize on it, right? And if we're not using it to its full ability, then certainly it's not going to warrant that level of investment, because we do recognize it's an investment. It's a significant investment. But I think at the end of the day, the data that you're getting with it and, you know, the ways that we can identify new projects, the success of existing ones. Like I could just go on, it's limitless. Like just looking at this now, I'm looking at time of day. It talks about time of day in the visitor summary. You know, we could use this to inform businesses as to what hours they should be looking at. You know, this is when consumers are coming to our downtown. So maybe you should consider opening Sunday, because this is when 85% of the consumers that are coming downtown are coming. Or maybe you shouldn't waste your time being open on a Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. And maybe it's in your best interest to stay open until 7 o'clock on the odd night a week, right? Like it's just limitless, really, the ways that we could use this data. And I do think other departments could, and that's not even touching on the fact that we could turn it into a revenue and actually sell the data to third parties, if they wanted at a very nominal, you know.
Nominal,
Like
but
this would
still.
not be, but basically to cover our cost, the administrative cost of running a query, right?
So Dana, is this just like a computer program we're buying?
Yeah, it's basically a software, yeah, and it's cloud-based, so you have access to it 24/7 from, as long as you have an internet connection, you can access.
Do we need another person to basically run it?
No, it's like, we would have to run the queries in-house, but it's a very straightforward, user-friendly system. You could go, there is a project-based option, which I'm waiting on some greater insight into as well, that if you just had, say, a one-off project that you wanted to do, you could go that route. And in that case, they do provide more of a hands-on service. They become more of like your project partner, where they're the ones that are doing the work and reporting. So there is that option too, and I'm just kind of getting some additional information on that. But really just wanted to bring it before the board just for an initial insight into kind of where we're headed, what we're exploring. And then happy to provide, some additional background data, of course, too. This is just a very preliminary slide.
This is just like last year there when I took my grandson to that little fair next to the casino in Ottawa there.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't in the casino. I get home and I start getting ads for the casino on my phone.
Yeah. And that, basically, it's that technology that those businesses.
Yeah, obviously they knew I was there and they sent me stuff.
And we would never do it like that. Like, it's not gonna be like that targeted thing that all of a sudden we're targeting ads to you and you feel like there's Big Brother watching you. No, like you can use it in that way, but ours would really simply be to infer information and make broader decisions about our marketing and where to be targeting it, not targeting to individuals. It's not gonna be one of those things where people start getting bombarded with Explore Prescott ads or pop-up ads. No.
Pop-ups.
No, and that's, I don't find those marketing tactics, they certainly don't go anywhere with me, and it frankly would put me, I would be less apt to buy and engage if I got that type of advertising. Well, when I get that advertising, but that's exactly what it is. So, and we are all being tracked, this goes back to 2019. And so that data we could actually look at and for, what's happened since pandemic and what was happening just as that peaked and what, what we're seeing coming out of that. So there's a lot of, having that historic data is.
For $14,000, do we get that previous couple of
Yeah,
years?
all the way back to 2019, yeah. Yeah, and then it just keeps growing, right? Every year, they're just adding more data to the database, so. But I think that, is an important piece to it, is we would never use it for those purposes. But it's happening everywhere. That is exactly what you speak of,
So
is
you
it's
got-
that, yeah.
You got a phone, your GPS, right? You're being
The
tracked.
only way you can turn it off, stop it from happening, is if you disable your location services. But if you have location services enabled for any app or your phone as a whole, you're being tracked through this data. So scary, but for people on the marketing side of things, it's really exciting.
Is there competitors? Like, is this?
There, Environics is really the leader. There are a few other competitors out there. We've done initial costing and they're all very, very on par. Yeah. And Environics, I would say, is a real leader. Like they are kind of the flagship of this service and, they're adding more abilities, more staffing, more resources all the time. And they're used by, some pretty reputable companies, everything from, the Costco's and Pepsi and Coca-Cola to large municipalities like City of Toronto, City of Ottawa, to smaller municipalities and tourism regions too, used by a lot of tourism regions. But it's a wide ranging business, government, municipal, not-for-profits.
Possibly, that could be something that could be looked at by all of our municipalities together, like Augusta, Edwardsburg, and Prescott.
And Justin and I talked about that option, that maybe it's something that the council might want to consider. Certainly, I would recommend that we go for the larger if we were going to look at bringing in other municipal partners, because if we're talking 100 queries, that's now probably like 30, depending on what everyone comes in with, right? I think that's a great suggestion long-term. For this year, I would propose that Prescott does this on a standalone. Honestly, just more from the sheer fact of time sensitivity and getting access to that data. The time it would take to get the 3 municipalities on board with a shared services agreement, we'd probably be in 2024 at that point. And this, if we do it, would give us that much more evidence, information to be able to bring to that group to say, this is something we should be partnering on long-term. So I think we could definitely entertain that moving forward, because they would get, just as many benefits from it, even though they don't necessarily have those commercial. Edwardsburg Cardinal, I think, would get a lot more benefit out of it than Augusta. They're still quite limited in their like commercial, but for so many other aspects, programming,
I was thinking about the tourism aspect.
tourism, planning decisions, yeah. And you don't need to decide tonight either, like we can always bring more information back and at the next meeting.
From a small business point, it's beneficial, like, I realize this is just an example of, but again, just quickly looking, like it's showing the percentage of traffic on certain days, going back to what you already kind of mentioned for me. So like, am I open the right days? Same thing with the hours. Like I feel from a local business that if that information, types of information were made available, it would definitely be useful, and something that for myself and probably other businesses wouldn't really be available otherwise because of the expense and knowing where to go. And so if it could be made in some way an additional tool for the downtown businesses to access, then it would show great benefit for all of those in the downtown, well, all of the BIA area.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, is this is something that I would want to offer to the entire, business community, industries, manufacturers, uptown, downtown businesses, nonprofits, events, attractions. The data is, there's so many partners, community-wide that could benefit from this. And I think that's where it's on us to be very, have a really good plan in running queries and communicating this information to businesses, right? Like we would have, what I would envisioning is every year we would do like a business related query and then have a report that goes back to the business community.
Yeah.
And then we would get your insight or input at the outset to say what type of, this is the type of data that we can acquire, what's of greatest interest to you. And then we'll get a better sense of what the businesses are looking for and align that with the queries that we're running so it can get the most, provide the most benefit.
I think to add on to charity as a small business, it's so hard to see or feel how many people are around downtown, how many, and this gives a number, like Belinda was saying, to actually make calculated decisions rather than more of a feeling like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people today, but not really.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is a lot of money, 15 to 20, but if we use it correctly, use it, take advantage of how much it can do, run those reports and run and see how you can actually save that amount of money, because we're spending X amount of dollars on events or marketing not really blindly, but more on a feeling of, I think that went well because a lot of people were there, but this gives you a number okay, that actually didn't go so well, or it did. And then to allocate that money correctly, you might be saving on the money that you're actually giving to the program.
Yeah.
So I think just the taking it, but also having a bigger, as Tracy was saying, if you partner up, but that's another thing as well.
Yeah.
Save money.
Spread the cost out, yeah.
Yeah, for a small business, I wouldn't know that Tuesday or Monday. It's just, I can run my own reports, but this is almost like a big brother saying, hey, there's a lot of people during this time, you can take advantage. Or even, I don't know if it runs demographic of an age group.
Yep.
Because if it does, then you know how to market, if it was an older demographic around that area, you know how to market on those days that maybe you run a special or you on run something specifically to market that target people.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that's a very good point, is you can see your demographic change from day to day. It could be that it is younger travelers that seem to be out coming into the downtown on, say, a Thursday afternoon into the evening. And, then there's a huge 60+ population that's coming out on Saturday mornings.
It's almost scarily accurate.
Yeah.
Because it says the median household income. So also with your pricing around that area, am I reaching too high that it would actually, it helps businesses, especially if it looks very easy to understand. So
it really is. And it gives you a better sense of not just, you can look at Stats Canada data and you can try to infer what our, based on our population, but that's not a true picture of what your actual market is. That doesn't take into account the region. It doesn't take in visitors. And, Stats Canada can only provide so much.
Yeah, and that's it. When you mentioned too, that's a good point, of your whole area, because I can pull all kinds of reports and tell you exactly who went through my door on a day-to-day, but that's not the only information. It's the other doors.
when you have all the
How do I get those people that didn't come through my door that were right there now that I know in my door? So
or if you knew around that time the demographic was changed, you can do your own marketing to target those people that you won't target because they're around at that time.
Yeah.
In that area.
And piggyback off, maybe there is something to Tuesday being the good day to market to that senior population, because there's already businesses that are running a lot of the,
Yeah. Because it has the age. It's very interesting.
It is.
It is.
When you
Isn't
see
this crazy?
spreadsheet,
I know,
It's so sexy.
that was just a high level summary of but when you see the actual background data and how, you can drill down to every single individual consumer and gain insights, and it is pretty exciting data. But I think it's really limitless what we can do with it. Our only limitation on our end is time. Really, you know what I mean? So I think in that case, we would also be, bringing in like Taylor, the digital Main Street coordinator, to run those, queries more specific to.
Because I was gonna say, like, it would be a waste if we did put the money there and it's a good program and then you don't do, like, there's no time to do the data.
Exactly, yeah.
There's no point, like, it's better to have the right amount of data and take advantage as much as we can to help. Because if we're helping all the businesses too, then that's generating money downtown. That helps with the why we're paying it, to justify the amount that we're putting into it.
So that's certainly, just know that is a big factor of and that we recognize the importance of utilizing it to its fullest ability, for sure. Because otherwise there's no point in making this investment.
Dana, when does the red applications?
So fall is the next intake. I don't know the exact date. I think October. But that would give us an ability, and you can do multi-year projects. So we could apply for up to 2 years for the service.
Yeah.
Which I think would definitely be the way we would recommend going.
Would you be looking at waiting to see if you were successful with grant funding before deciding which route to go, whether to go with the full package or the partial pack?
Yeah, so that's the way I've communicated it to them is, we just simply are not in a position to be able to commit to anything beyond a pilot at this point. We'd be pursuing outside funding sources and we need to know that we have that in place before. So they deal with, they're familiar with having to deal with that and navigate municipal budget limitations and funding application outcomes. But it seems, based on their initial response, that they're certainly open to finding a workable solution with us. Again, they want their data to be utilized by as many clients as possible. And so they're certainly willing to make some of those compromises when it comes to onboarding new clients. Yeah. But I do think, and there's so many other services they provide too, like community profile. From an academic perspective, that's another module that I'm exploring, to have your community profile data on your website. So it's very searchable and available to potential investors, businesses coming in. And then we're not in a situation where we're always having to keep it updated and current, because that's a huge project in itself, is just managing that. So yeah, and they are very, highly utilized by very reputable associations too, like the Economic Developers Association of Canada has worked with Environics on different programs and offerings that they can then deliver to their members. So they've certainly been around for a long time. They've been used by several government ministries, OMAFRA being one of a big client of theirs for sure. So
yeah.
That's it for me. Sorry, that was a bit long-winded.
So do we want to consider a motion or do we want more information?
More information for me.
More for me.
Okay.
Perfect.
And what information are we looking for? Just so Justin and Dana kind of know.
It's just a lot of money and I don't know, like, I know what she's saying, but I don't know.
I like to see, like you said, other people that have used it and then their results, their opinions on it.
Yeah.
And how many businesses are going to benefit from it? Like if you got 6 businesses that are going to benefit from it, then that's a lot of money for a few businesses. If you got 26, that's another thing.
Well, I think that's really one of those questions that's kind of up to the businesses, right? Like, are they going to access that data or ask for that data? And then what are they going to do with it? Some businesses are not going to be interested. Other businesses are interested. So I think it's difficult for us to definitively say how many businesses is that going to
Benefit.
exactly definitively benefit. I think from our perspective, really, it's more in terms of how do we validate what events, like obviously it's to support the businesses as well, but what events can we validate that are actually bringing business into the downtown core? So that is actually quantifiable. We can say, like we're kind of saying, okay, we're going to try Thursday nights. Does it work? Does it not work? Is that actually benefiting our downtown businesses? If we have this data, we can actually validate if it's working or not. Like if the data says maybe Wednesday nights are better, which I don't think it would, but just from a hypothetical perspective, I think it just gives us the data to be able to quantifiably say, these are the events we should be looking at or putting money towards, because we are putting money towards our Thursday nights and we don't know. So it just gives us a better ability to make those decisions and support the businesses.
And we would certainly be targeting or offering this to all businesses. Like in the queries that we're running, they would be geared to benefit as many businesses as possible. And to Belinda's point, if a business chooses not to take advantage of that data that they've been offered, well, that's their prerogative, but we would certainly offer it to all businesses in the community. It would not be geared to, downtown over uptown, and it wouldn't be, we might have some very specific queries that we would run, but we would also be running, those larger ones that are going to give businesses that broader data that they're looking for. Like the consumer movement patterns, things like that. And just providing them with the opportunity to benefit certainly from those queries that we're running that would provide business data. So I'm getting the sense that we'd like some more information on examples, other relevant communities that have used it, what that breakdown is between, say, the project-based option versus the full commitment option, annual cost moving forward.
And I think another thing is if companies have used it, have they used it a second and a third year, or is it just a one-off and done?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole testimonial aspect for sure. That's the word I was looking for, testimonial. And then just also, it'd be nice that we know that this is gonna be supported by other people, like, I don't know, council, like, we just wanna make sure that you're gonna have the support from everybody that needs to be supportive. You know what I mean?
Yes, so this is something that would be more of a budget thing.
Yes.
It wouldn't necessarily rise to council.
Okay.
Because it's more of a budget that's happening between, based on the budget, the active budget that's been set. There are those project-based dollars.
That's what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know, okay.
So this was more to get a sense of whether the BIA is interested in supporting it.
Okay, so you already have an allocation in your budget?
I have
You're just looking-
endorsement to do this year on a pilot basis, yes.
So you're just looking for
BIA support,
Okay.
essentially,
I wasn't
yeah.
clear on that, sorry.
And then we would be
I didn't know
providing-
that had already.
No, and then we would be providing counsel, like counsel certainly isn't committed to this.
Okay.
This is simply a pilot, and we would be providing counsel with a recommendation report to proceed, but you would be updated as to, what this service is and receive a subsequent report for that too.
And I don't think we're making, like if we were to approve it, I don't think from a BIA perspective, we're committing to this for the long term. We're committing to the pilot.
Yep.
Question. If we did do it and we did the pilot and everything like that, like what is our measurement to say that this was a good, there might not be an answer because we won't know, but what would be our own like measurement that we're like, okay, that's something that really helped the businesses? Like the businesses won't necessarily come to us and said that program helped, or like how would our events show that it, because of that program, it actually helped with, like, how would we base that information?
I think it gives us a historical ability to create a baseline in terms of what has been working and what hasn't been working, and where people are coming and when they're not coming. Again, with any statistical analysis, you can't make decisions immediately. It depends on the historical, right? So it gives us the historical data to be able to define what's going on. And, you know, like, so just as an example, like, we think the market should be Saturday, should it be Sunday? Right?
You can see.
Exactly. So when are people actually coming? So it gives us the historical background to be able to, from a statistical, realistic perspective, determine exactly where we need to be going. And again, without that historical data, we can't really say, like, we're shooting in the dark, basically. For every event that we do, we're crossing our fingers and hoping it's going to work. You know, like Poutine Fest looked like it was great, but again, we don't have a historical on that, but it just gives us the ability to make decisions in a more informed, from a more informed basis. I think.
Evidence-based decision-making.
I agree.
We can certainly bring back additional information at the next meeting.
Okay.
And get a sense as to, and like I said, we are just in the exploratory phase right now. So really just looking at cost options in conversation with administration, but really just wanted to get a preliminary sense at this point if there's BIA support for headed in this direction. So there's certainly not been any commitments made. It's more just getting that sense of, is there interest before we go too far down this road?
Are we comfortable saying there's interest?
Sure, to explore.
Additional information?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know enough about it. This is the first I've ever heard about it, so I can't really say without understanding it more.
Yeah, so we can bring back a subsequent report to the board.
I'm just thinking about our budget, and our budget isn't huge, but is that $2,000 that I'm assuming would probably come out of the marketing portion? Is there a use for that $2,000 in a more, I don't want to say direct way, because I obviously see the benefits of this, but I'm just wondering if we want to spend $2,000 out of our small marketing budget on something like this. So that's why I'd like to see more information.
Yeah,
I think that's 100% fair. It's hard when it's something that's not tangible either, right? And you can, certainly make an impact with, but that's what I will leave you with, is look to the long-term impact you can make with that $2,000 expense by putting it into a one-off event or activity that maybe brings some additional people and sales to businesses for the day. Or investing in information and what that can empower us with. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay.
On to item 7, downtown business and development update.
So we've had much, continued success with our business development, lots of movement, new businesses opening. So during the month, over the past few weeks since our last BIA meeting, we celebrated the Best of Farmers Market grand opening. That's located at 183 King Street in the former Salvation Army. That was May 11th, and they're doing quite well. They're adding new vendors all the time. Really great mix of vendors. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I would definitely encourage you to.
Gotta check it out.
Yes. And then today we had a business open. Laurel and Lace Flowers had their soft opening today. 218 King Street, former location of Cardinal Flowers.
So we're just kind of collaborating with them on official grand opening activities, but definitely another business I would encourage you to check out. And we had the soft opening of the Lost and Found Community Outreach Center. That was earlier this month too, and May 10th, I believe. And that's at 152 King Street West. And we're just waiting on grand opening because they've got a new sign coming in. So we wanted to wait for them to get their new sign all done so they can put their best foot forward for those photos. And then we had Subway soft opening. We're still working on grand opening for that. They're just dealing with a few corporate matters at the moment that they want to iron out. And we're looking at probably late June at this point, but I should have more information in the coming week. And then the Vault Takeout and Lounge had their soft opening May 26th. Personally, have tried the pizza and it is absolutely fantastic. It is something completely different than any pizza you're going to find in this town or the surrounding area. Highly recommend it. So we'll be doing grand opening very soon with the Vault.
Yeah, well, I like to get I'm in the sign situation, like
Yeah.
I sign up and stuff for it, so I'm thinking probably July-ish, somewhere is in there, depending on when I get to sign up, and
Perfect.
so we'll let you know.
Make it official.
Yeah.
Do the big snip snip.
Actually, Gory was in first time today too, and he was.
Oh, was he?
He was asking when he gets his picture taken too, yeah.
And then we just had a grand opening on the weekend, Women's Fishing Tackle. It was June 10th, and they're in the former Forwarders Antiques location. Great spot, great location for this type of business. The proximity to the water, I think, will be excellent for them. There seems to be a really positive response so far, so I think it'll be, and it's another destination business too, which is, something that we're really trying to attract, something that really, people will drive for, right? To go to. And aside from like your run of the mill stock at like Canadian Tire and Walmart, there's really not a lot for specialty fishing. So I think they'll do quite well. And then we had Orbit, another new business, which is a collectible, a buy, sell and trade business. They are at 132 King Street East, in the same building as the Service Ontario. Right beside Mr. Gas, they're in the furthest unit to the east. So we're just talking with them, had their soft opening this week, but we're planning grand opening activities very soon. They're working on signage, probably going to be applying for some CIP funding once that becomes available. So again, if you get a chance to check that out, they kind of slid in under the radar a little bit, but we managed to connect with them this week. So just a young fellow, oh gosh, this Jacob Pink, I believe. Oh, I've got his card right here. Yes, Jacob Pink is the owner. Collectibles, buy, sell, and trade. So he's got a lot of the Funko Pop things. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Old Magic sells that line of products. He's got a lot of sports memorabilia, collectibles, cards, things of that nature. Yeah, nice mix. So hopefully we'll have a grand opening for them soon. And then upcoming, we have Chuck's Roadhouse. No date confirmed, but I'm sure you've probably seen the work happening there at the former Circle K Subway there. And that's a pretty exciting development. It'll be a 40-seat restaurant with a bit of a patio space as well. Their menu, they're a franchise, so you can definitely check them out online, learn a little bit about them. And they're just working on getting their franchisee in place. And then we have Renegades Bar and Grill. That is still pending opening, but we're just kind of keeping these on the list as an ongoing reminder for people. They are plugging away in there. They just put the siding up on the building last week, which looks really good. So they're getting closer all the time. And then Dollarama grand opening. We're hoping tentatively in the area of June 19th or 20th, but it looks like there have been some delays. So I think we might be a bit closer to July on that. But I'll keep the group posted. You'll get an email and we'll be doing ribbon cutting for that soon enough. And then the Wing House, another restaurant right across the street from Chuck's Roadhouse in the former Turkish restaurant site. They've been working away on renovations, gonna be opening in the next few months. Quite a bit further they're behind than Chuck's Roadhouse. I'm guessing they'll probably be closer to mid to late summer. And then Little Barcelona, this is the expansion of Alberbost. I'm hoping most of you are familiar with it. It is currently the takeout Spanish restaurant on Industrial Boulevard. And they've taken over 2 units there to expand into a full dine-in restaurant.
Amazing.
So yeah, just working on renovations, pretty excited about that addition, and that will be under the new brand, Little Barcelona.
I do like the name.
Yeah, it's
So
fun.
different, so different
Yeah.
from everything.
So yes, that's it for business and development updates for now. Oh, and that's a picture of Women's grand opening from the weekend.
Yep. Okay. Item 10, new business for members.
I've had a couple of comments about the BIA looking at washing windows again. For the windows that aren't washed. I don't know. It's come up a couple times.
So is that from the perspective that they're asking us to wash windows, or just trying to get like a consistent, potentially discounted price from a window washer?
So years ago, the BIA used to, on the empty storefronts, we used to pay to have the windows washed. And it worked well, and then it dropped off. I think maybe we voted it down eventually, but it did exist before, and it just made the downtown more appealing. But now that we have some new landlords that own, maybe worth a revisit, just maybe even a letter to say, we'd really appreciate your support. As little as washing the inside of your windows, we'd really appreciate it. I don't know if there's.
I was approached last week there well, I wasn't there, but my manager was there, says she was approached by a couple there. I think they want like $12 a week to come wash the windows once a week.
So if I can just provide a little bit of context, at the time it was terminated because there were concerns about the liability the town was taking on by hiring someone to go in and wash people's windows, because if it gets broken, it's ultimately going to be the town that's responsible for replacing someone's window. So we took another route and we approached the businesses to see if there was interest in actually coming together and doing like a bulk buy and getting, again, town would look after it, we would coordinate it, schedule it. Businesses would pay a very nominal reduced fee because they're now doing 50 businesses, right? What did we get in response to that, Justin?
Yeah.
Very, very, very minimal.
And I think the only response was from businesses that were already paying window washers that were looking to now get into this discounted rate.
Yeah.
Of course.
So again, it did not address the ones that are the issue, right? And we're doing subtle encouragement in the background to try and get these commercial property owners, and as part of the vacant registration bylaw. But I think what this really boils down to is a more active enforcement of it, whether it be a property standards issue, because we can only do so much encouraging, and encouraging, dialogue is not going to force these people to do anything about it. So something else that we're working on right now is a backdrop that will give like a mock-up of a business to kind of give a sense. We put it in a window and it gives a sense, instead of having a tarp or garbage bags, it would give a sense of what the potential business opportunity is. One could be like a mock-up of a bakery. Another one could be a shoe store, or some of these business ideas that we're hearing time and time again people want in the community. So we're exploring that option. still isn't going, the windows still need to be cleaned to put these backdrops in for them to be seen,
The
right?
backdrops are a good idea, you know, instead it's like black garbage bags, right?
Yeah, so we're progressing with that. We should have the backdrops done within the next few weeks. And we've got some target ones that are probably the same ones that are on people's lists around this table. But that window washing thing, it would be, I still struggle with that, and we didn't get a lot of uptake the first time, but like, to your point, there are new. Maybe it's time to see if we could get the buy-in again.
Well, even just a letter, like just a
Yeah.
letter going out, just a
Yeah.
very supportive letter saying,
Yeah.
you know, we're a community, we
Yeah.
want to be appealing, we want, you know what I mean? Just something very positive, just to, you know, maybe they're not thinking about that.
And it's not that much money, like I said, I told the guy for $12,
Yeah,
come
yeah,
wash my
exactly.
$12
Right.
for
That's the thing, it's so cheap. I don't understand why they're not doing it. It costs us next to nothing, yeah. So again, maybe it's just a more encouraging letter. Try and get a sense of, you know, are you on board? Because
Maybe it's better to say, we have arranged for windows, and I think we have to really concentrate on somebody locally. Same with your signs. There's people in Prescott and Brockville that make them. We don't need to go to Ottawa or whatever to get the signs made. And send these landowners, these commercial, for $12, you will be getting a bill for $12 every month. That's going to take care of your windows. And don't really give them an option.
Much of an option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a property standards issue, and you'll be charged X number.
And so that's where I think that's the missing piece,
Yeah.
right? Is that so if we could somehow tie it in with, this is your opportunity to take advantage of what's being offered before the town has to proceed with some level of enforcement.
Right.
The town had no problem with the vacant building, bylaws.
Registration, but exactly, so, and I was hopeful as part of that, there would be more of a property standards aspect to it, but unfortunately, there isn't.
Yeah.
And
That's what I was wondering, if it was too minimal to qualify as a property standard, as not meeting.
that's is basically, but the property standards bylaw covers a lot, and I do believe that it could be covered through that, but again, we only have so many resources, right? And it's not as simple as bylaw deciding, hey, we're gonna start, something's gotta go by the wayside. I understand that too.
And maybe just us as downtown ambassadors,
Yeah.
it could just, if we have the opportunity, just
Yeah.
say, hey, that would look great if you did this.
I very much agree that those little things make a big difference, and if there's some way that we can come up with a system to make it happen. I think the encouraging is maybe getting exhausting, so somehow to make it happen, whether it is like, I pay to get my own windows done, but I'm not against putting in some way to have it as a whole. Like, as on one hand, frustrating as that might be for some, it's a big picture. And I think that the letter might be a great way, and following it up with some information so it's not just like you said, make it positive. These, we're asking this and this is why, because we're prepared to do this and we have these ideas. And, if you commit to cleaning your window, maybe, I don't know how these installations will go in and how that will be, but maybe then they get an installation almost as like a reward to do it, and I'm really excited about those installations of the backdrops. Yeah.
And I think that, like you touched on, the plastic bags and stuff are up with people that are pretending to fix something up. I think that's got to be followed up too, because that's like years. So people just people just get like.
And that's where that vacant registration button is really dealing with that. And I know they're implementing it. I'm not sure where they're at. If some of those properties have been, I'm not sure if they've gotten to those properties yet. So that could be it too, that I do know there was a fairly, as much as I don't think anyone wants to admit it, there was a fairly extensive list of properties that needed to be addressed, and some that you wouldn't even be aware of, right? But I think, that's a critical piece to it. And having those things dovetail to work, more closely hand in hand is a big piece to it. That does remind me something else that, we had a really exciting meeting this week with a local artist and had a really great conversation about taking one of these windows and turning it into an arts project where you could actually watch a time lapse of this artist painting this gorgeous scene on the window, or well, a piece of plexiglass actually, so that it could be, you know what I mean? But it would look like the window and you could actually watch this unfold and have this public art project unfolding in front of your very eyes and watch that happen over a period of a day from morning to afternoon, maybe a couple of days for something more intricate or for a multi-window project. So we're also in conversation with this artist too about that and identifying one property to take on for that. So in the next few weeks, you'll certainly see some things go into those windows to help address it. But yeah, I think if the board wanted to, say, pass a motion directing communication to be sent out and us to, once again, take another stab at that and try and get businesses on board with.
Yeah. Okay, so if we could request a motion for the town to direct letters out to businesses within the BIA section requesting that they
Clean up their act, basically.
how do we politically put that?
Participate in a town coordinated window washing program
Sounds good. Okay,
at their cost,
at their cost,
at a reduced cost.
Minimum.
at a potentially reduced cost.
Anything you get these days for $10 or $12 a week is.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely
Yeah.
worth looking into.
Does that sound okay to everyone? Do I have a mover? Second? All in favor? Okay. Any other new business? Thanks, Tracy. Any other new business? Okay, we'll move on to,
The Shakespeare.
oh, yes, sorry. We received a letter from the St. Lawrence Shakespeare Festival asking if we are interested in participating in their program advertising agreement. So there's options for an 1/8 page, a 1/4 page, half page, full page. Obviously, it's on their program. The half page is $495 plus HST. The 1/8 page is $175 plus HST. 1/4 page is $295 plus HST. Full page, depending on the prices, range from $900 to $1,000, and a 1/4 page is $295 plus HST.
And sorry, are they asking for us to pay for the ad or give money?
Yeah,
for it?
placement.
Yes,
Oh,
placement ads, so we
Yeah.
would get advertising
Space, yeah.
on the program. So initial thoughts on that?
Is it something we've done in the past?
To mine, yes, I believe it's something the BIA's done here and there. I don't think it's been every year. But it's an opportunity to promote the downtown, right? Exploring the downtown as part of your Shakespeare
I think.
experience.
Yeah, I think it would be important not to say BIA. Do you know what I, like?
And do more the
I don't
Riverwalk
know why we
district.
would promote the BIA, really.
Like we're meant to be supporting that.
Promoting our.
Yeah.
people.
The district,
Not our,
right,
not our
yes,
committee.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be like a Riverwalk district ad, basically, is what we would recommend.
Not put paid by the BIA
Yeah,
somewhere in
something
there?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be something referencing.
Yeah.
that we're promoting this
Yeah.
district.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
For sure. Well,
So-
I'm sure it brings people to the downtown, with no doubt, so.
It does.
Yeah, and they're partnering with, different businesses on packages, ticket and dine packages. I know they're partnering with Red George and O'Heafe's for for food packages, exploring some of those other options with accommodations and yeah, I think it's certainly something that brings new visitors into the community and into the downtown and, you know, for a nominal cost, I think,
Yeah, it sounds a little worthwhile.
you know, I maybe wouldn't do a full page, but.
No, I was, again, in conversation, I was thinking like that the 8th page is 175 plus HST.
That's good.
Or the quarter page is 295 plus HST, because I was kind of thinking maybe the 175 to see what everyone thinks, because that's showing we're supporting this.
How about, are they willing to pay some themselves? How about we let them decide what they want? Do we pay 50% or?
No, I think.
It's just, yeah, it's either pick your ad size basically, but they
Yeah.
won't offer a reduced rate.
Yeah, so I think maybe if we consider the 8th page, we're showing support, showing the fact that we want to bring people in.
And that we value their partnership.
Exactly. So thoughts on that?
And I think, like we would be able to use our QR code, I'm getting tired, sorry, I had to think of it, right? And then that would access the whole listed directory of all the businesses. So if we just did that, whatever size we agree on, basically.
Yeah.
And then buy, like BIA, you know.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good use of money for everybody, a little splash of marketing and to show support.
Good.
Yeah, but probably the smaller one. We don't have a huge marketing budget.
So we're comfortable doing a motion for the 8th page? Okay, so we will raise a motion to support the St. Lawrence Shakespeare Festival Program advertising agreement in terms of an 8th page advertisement for $175 plus HST. The advertising itself to be determined, is that okay?
I would say to be created by your coordinator.
Okay, to be created by your coordinator with concurrence of the BIA and the town of Prescott?
Yeah, it's up to if you want to, I think the ad, I don't know if we would have time to bring it back for.
The ad is due on the 16th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just, yeah.
Place
I can tell you, he does fantastic marketing.
Okay.
You have no worries there.
To be created by your coordinator? Do I have a mover?
I think you've given us a good sense of what you want in the ad, so, yeah.
And a seconder? All in favor? Okay. Thanks for that. I have it sitting right here. Okay, upcoming committee meetings. The Marketing and Promotions Committee is coming up on May. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong document.
Oh, didn't update those, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, Marketing Promotions is coming up next week and Placemaking is coming up the week after.
Next 2 Tuesdays.
So item 11 is a closed session in regards to an identifiable individual. So the recommendation is that the Board of Management enter closed session under section 2392/B of the Municipal Act, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employee, and that the Economic Development Officer and BIA Coordinator remain in the room for the discussion. Do I have a mover?